Hey, this is Meredith Elliott Powell, and welcome to Thrive, Turning Uncertainty to Competitive Advantage, the show where we dive into the strategies, discuss the steps, everything that you need to know to turn all of this uncertainty to your competitive advantage. And today we are going to talk about communication, connection, and events. Do we need to have them? Why do we need to have them? And what does an event need to look like now in our hybrid, virtual, live kind of world? And with me today, I've got a great friend, a wonderful guest, Emmy Lumsang with Corinthian Events. Welcome to the show, Emmy.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to chat with you.
Well, good. So we're just going to be wide open for the next 20 to 25 minutes. Give everybody who's listening kind of a little bit of background about you and a little bit of background around Corinthian Events.
Sure. So my name is Emmy Lumsang. I am an event manager at Corinthian Events, and Corinthian Events is a full agency, and we are destination management. So we basically manage Boston, and recently we acquired Newport Hospitality, so we can now reach Newport Hospitality. With that acquisition, gives us a lot of opportunity to sell outside of Boston. So now we're kind of Corinthian Events, New England market. So it's awesome and it's really fun. Since COVID has happened, we've really leaned into the virtual world, which I'm sure every single event agency in the world is doing, and it's been quite the ride, and I'm excited to talk about it with you. It's definitely different, but it's a good kind of different.
Yeah, I mean, you are definitely in an industry like me that got hit hard and wide open when COVID hit. What have been some of the biggest challenges you think that you faced as well as your clients have faced since the world has gone virtual?
So really, I think the biggest thing that we're missing in this virtual world that people they're trying to grasp is connection, right? Like it's so hard, or what people seem is it's so hard to create that authentic, real connection through a screen. Or at least that's what it was like in the beginning. And I think as time is going on, we're starting to see people become a little bit more comfortable with this 2D world, more comfortable with the Zoom meetings, more comfortable with logging on from their homes and, attending events that are on screen. So it's definitely I think that piece is the hardest piece for event planners and people like me to grasp is like, how do we get our clients to buy into the virtual connection aspect of it? And how do we get attendees to get excited about attending a virtual event and feel like they're going to have the same takeaways as they would in a live event?
So do you think that we, as far as events, I mean, do we need them now? Do we need as many right now? I mean, what's the value of an event?
Oh my God. I think we need events more than ever nowadays. I think it's so important for connection. And yes, it's hard that we can't go outside. We can't go to a restaurant. We can't go to a ballroom and create those in-person connections. But I still think connection is so important. So as far as the events industry goes, I know that, there's so many things that go into it. There's the economy, right? Do people want to spend the money to go to an event or put on a virtual event? There's there's the idea that people aren't going to virtual events. How do you get people to actually attend one? And I think the way I look at it is that the events industry, we have a great opportunity to kind of change and evolve. And instead of trying to recreate the live aspect into a virtual world, like let's lean into all of the new technology that's around us and that's being developed so then we can create extremely fun experiences online.
So so if I'm in a company and I want to think about whether I'm going to put an event on or not put an event on, what are some of the things that I need to be thinking about?
Production. It's so important. And I think that, as I mentioned in the beginning, people are going to Zoom meetings all day, every day, or WebEx meetings, whatever you use as your platform. You're always in this Brady Bunch look. And if you want, and it's something that we're used to now, but I think that for companies that want to put on events, either for their prospects, their clients, or their employees, there is value added to hiring a really great AV partner or people like Corinthian Events, who we have great AV partners who can work alongside them to create a well-produced event. I think if it looks good, it's going to feel good. And it's just going to be really exciting. I think it's such a good investment for companies to make, is in the production aspect of their events.
So what does production lend to it? I mean, what difference does it make?
So there's so much that can go to production, so there's the live aspect where what a lot of people are doing is the picture in picture. So basically what that means is, like you watch on the news or whatever, you have like the boxes of faces, but it's kind of wrapped in a really nice graphic. And that graphic, you can do whatever you want to it. You can have it be animated, you can have it be colorful. It just kind of adds a little bit more dynamic to what the attendees are seeing on the screen. And then there's the pre-recorded aspect, right? So you can go into an AV studio, have the green screen background, have the LED walls, have just make it look a little bit more exciting than, just the regular wrap graphics. Not that the wrap graphics aren't exciting, but there's always, a fun, engaging aspect of seeing, one of your colleagues or speaker in front of a green screen or an LED screen that looks really good and just looks, well thought out.
What are some of the biggest mistakes you're seeing people make as they lead into virtual events?
Honestly, thinking they can do it alone. I think you need a team of people. You need good people behind you, and whether that be a project management company, an event planning industry, or in the agency, or an AV company, like you need people to help. It's a new world, the virtual world, and there's so much to learn. And I'm the first person who can admit, like, it's way too much for one person to absorb. Like, you really need a team of people to help you navigate through all the different kinds of technologies that's out there and what is really best for your event and what, solutions are going to work for you.
Are there like, I'm somebody who personally believes, as a speaker, that's one of the things I deliver in my business. I've really felt ever since COVID hit that we're essential. Somebody needs to be out there giving messages of hope,
Yes.
giving people strategies of how they navigate these waters, how can they emerge successful and come out, the other side with it. How do you go about, but at the same time, our clients are looking at budgets that are tight. Everybody's kind of in no man's land right now. We've had so much change, and even just the last couple of months, and a lot is still really uncertain as we move into 2021. What advice are you giving to like anybody who's listening to us right now who is trying to determine, with my budget, where should I spend it, and how do I get the biggest bang for my buck if I do decide to do a virtual event?
So it's an interesting question, right? So I think with especially a virtual event, you have to lean into creativity. And when you hire agencies like Corinthian Events or any other agencies that are really leaning into the virtual world, you can count on them to look at every angle of your virtual event, whatever your budget is, and get creative. It's the same as live events. If you have a budget that isn't that big, and you go to an event planner and you're saying, like, hey, this is how much money I have, but I really want people to have that wow factor when they walk in the room. They'll take the time to figure out, okay, this is how much money they have. Where could we place it so then that wow factor is there? And it's the same with virtual. You don't need to have all of the bells and whistles for it to be wow. You can have just one aspect of it be wow, and it will leave an impression on your attendees.
So as we look at 2021, what is the best way for people to get return on investment from a virtual event?
Really, the best way to get return and to feel like it was worth it, right, is hire a project manager. It will take away the stress of everything. Hire an event planner. Hire someone who knows this world and is comfortable in this world, because it's scary. It's a lot of information to take in. You're not really sure what's going to work, what's not going to work. The internet is crazy. You never know when it's going to be down or when it's going to work just fine. I think that hiring someone to partner with on your virtual event is the best investment that you can make, because it just takes away all that stress. So then as the client, you can really focus on that messaging that you were talking about, like really focus on how can we get either our employees, our clients, our prospects engaged in this event and you can focus on that and let us focus on the logistics, and let's just take away all that stress.
Yeah, I want you to share with the audience the event that we partnered on, because I just think that what you hired me to do was so creative. I had never done anything like that for an event before, but I think it's really value that your client got, which I felt like I was giving more return on investment than if I had just gotten up there and given a traditional keynote.
Yeah, so we hired Meredith, who is amazing, to be kind of a keynote speaker / delivery person of this competition. So we had a client who had a virtual conference, and they wanted someone to deliver a message on how to sell virtually successfully, what tools and skills you really need. And then they kind of took that messaging, took everything they learned from that, and had a virtual sales pitch competition, which was really fun. And I think things like that is what really keeps companies engaged. If you turn it into something that's competitive and something that they could take away, like I feel like this whole thing, it's not going to go away anytime soon, right? This, like, we're evolving. This is, even if we're back to normal tomorrow, people are going to still take advantage of the fact that we could meet virtually and we could do things virtually, because it's accessible. So I think having you come on to this event and deliver the tools and the skills that people need to sell virtually and to be able to relay a message virtually was so helpful for them, because it gave them the tools to not only thrive in their industry, but also the tools to win their competition that they had internally, which was super fun.
I just loved the combination, this combination that basically you told me that my job was to do something very out of the box and creative. I had to be motivational. I had to deliver concrete skills, and then I had to get them excited about competing. And then I loved that the meeting was really going to be about prepping them for a deliverable. I mean, you talk about something that is so innovative, so fresh, and so creative, and really the value that you get when you have somebody partnering with you to help you think outside of the box. Because I do remember one of the things that you said the client said was, we're going to have this many salespeople sitting there. We know they're not going to pay attention unless we do something different. And I get that. I'm a salesperson too, in our mind, if you're not really jazzing us up or you're not giving me something that can add to the bottom line. And I just think it was such a great example about really doing things from an innovative, different way, and how much a partnering with someone like you can really make you stretch what you've been thinking about and push outside of the limits of what you really think a virtual event can be.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be like just a million boxes on the screen. Like, you could really make it engaging and exciting. And the value add of hiring an event agency or event planner in that is just the knowledge that they've either absorbed from other clients or other things that they've seen in the industry, and they can share that with you to help you either, get to your goal of whatever messaging you want to relay to your attendees.
So talk to us a little bit about hybrid and what makes somebody decide to go hybrid versus just a virtual. And are you starting to see more of that? And what does it really look like? And what's the value in it?
So hybrid is interesting because I feel like in at least the States, we're in this weird kind of limbo where certain states are meeting like nothing is going on, right? Like ballrooms open, everyone come in, go to the bar, have a great time. Then you have certain other states that are like, we're shut down, we're not doing it. So I think where the hybrid model is going to come into play for meetings and events is accessibility. And it's going to be a big money saver, I think, for companies. So because they're not going to have to fly either all their speakers out to a conference or all their attendees out to a conference, they're going to be able to get whatever they need right in their homes. Hybrid, I think, also is going to give the people the opportunity to have a choice. Do they want to go and have that live connection again, or are they not comfortable yet? If they can stay home, is that opportunity still there? So I think it's just going to make the events industry is changing. Like, it's going to forever be changed after COVID. And I think hybrid is going to be the way people are going to be doing things because of the new technology too that is being developed with streaming and all that, good stuff. It's just going to make things a lot easier for people.
Yeah, and I think, as you go hybrid, it's all the more reason you need a project manager or an events manager, because I just know being hybrid. I've done a couple of hybrid meetings now. The skill that you have to not only hold the engagement of the audience that is there, but you also need to hold the engagement of the audience that is around the world. And it's funny. I mean, years ago, we've been doing live streaming for years, where somebody would say, can we live stream the event? Yeah, but as speakers, we never paid attention to those people on the live stream. We just focused on the audience in front of us. Now, hybrid is really, you have to be able to deliver the skill from a hybrid. So I imagine the production and everything has got to speak to both audiences. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And it's all about delivering the same thing to both your live and your virtual audience. And like you said, as a speaker, you're not necessarily paying attention to the camera that's in the back. That is,
that's right.
That is also, filming you and streaming you to, however many people are watching remotely. But I think that there will be a lot of added value and a lot of creativity that you can do with the hybrid, whether you're having so many different camera angles and you're looking at every camera differently. So then those remote attendees feel like they're still attending the same event as the people that are live.
They're still engaged and they're still involved.
Exactly. Yeah.
One reason I really wanted to talk to you today is because I know as I talk with my clients, one of the biggest things I'm getting right now is people are truly Zoom, just COVID fatigued. I mean, it is, at first we all had this energy that we just wanted to help our organizations and our companies be successful. Then as it drug on, we were like, okay, this is just how it is right now. And we're just going to put our big boy pants on and get through it. But now as we're seeing light at the end of the tunnel and there's a vaccine. And then for a lot of us, we're in the doldrums of winter. So it's gray outside and, we can't go eat outdoors at restaurants and things like that. The companies, and it's almost been a year, that companies are really losing that ability and are concerned about engaging employees. So I would imagine that events are a really good way to, to sort of push that energy and that resurgence back into your and create that connection with your employees. Are there companies like, what do you do if you're a small organization? Are you too small to do one? Is there certain sizes that it has to be worth it? What are your thoughts on that?
For me, I'm always like, the smaller the better, because it's daunting to look at a screen and see like 125 small little boxes, but it's obviously necessary, especially when you're having like these general sessions where you need to get messaging across to other people. My advice is just completely relook at your program and try and make it so then you have either smaller breakouts or you have opportunities for people to kind of create connection on their own. And there are so many platforms out there that can allow that. You could go into a virtual lobby and find like a lounge, and you could find people that are sitting in that lounge, virtually, that may have the same interests as you, and you can spark up a conversation. Like, it's really about relooking at your agenda, relooking at what is important to get the messaging across to a large audience, and what can be broken down into smaller groups. Because I do think, and we always say it at Corinthian with experiences like those virtual wine tastings, the virtual, cheese tastings, beer making, chef classes, they're always better smaller, because they don't feel as intimidated, and they have the opportunity to speak up, ask questions, and engage with, either the facilitator or their colleagues on the call. So it's just rethinking all of those things and rethinking your agenda. If it is like a conference that you have 120 plus people attending.
I really don't want the audience to lose what you just said, because Emmy just gave you a power-packed example of why an event planner and a project manager is so important, because she was talking about, keeping people engaged, giving them opportunity to get involved, creative ways to move them into small rooms. So imagine your company out there, you're growing, you're one of those, lucky businesses in COVID that's been expanding. So you've brought on new employees, or your employees haven't connected in a year. She just gave you a power pack set of examples of ways that you could create that connection and allow them to laugh again. I mean, one of the biggest things, I think I did an event in like May, and you were still sort of getting our feet up under all of this. And I was just in a Zoom room, and I broke people out into groups. And here I think I'm delivering this great keynote, right? And I bring them back. And one of the guys said, could you leave us there just a little longer? He said, I have not seen my coworkers since, February 28th. And he said, that's what I really miss. And that's when it really hit me that, certainly you've got to have good production, you've got to have good messaging, you've got to have, all those things, but how desperately people need the opportunity of that human connection, even with coworkers. I mean, that is really the foundation that lights a business up.
Absolutely. And, we're even seeing internally with our company, like we miss each other so much. Like we're so used to seeing each other and walking by each other's desks. We have an open floor concept in our office. So we empathize with our clients when they're saying it's hard to create that connection, because we're feeling it too. But as planners, that's our jobs to kind of lean into that creativity, find ways to get people re-engaged that they may not have thought of, and just kind of, get inspiration from other clients, other companies, and whatever else is going out in this crazy world we live in.
So the important question, do you have any predictions of when you think the live events will come back?
If I had a crystal ball and I had to guess, live events, I'm hopeful for the fall. I am very, very hopeful for this fall. I think that I would be naive to think that we can have a 15,000 person trade show in September, but I think we're going to start seeing the hybrid model come in a little bit stronger, live events coming back, restaurants opening again. Like that's going to be huge for the hospitality industry, hotels opening again. I think once we start to get that energy moving, then the events will come around for sure.
Yeah, I heard somebody speaking that they said like they feel like there will be this pent up demand and we'll all want to run and get back together in person. And then once we do that, we'll realize how great it is to be home in your sweatpants watching something or engaging. So we'll go back to this balance, Yeah.
I think it's definitely the fabric of especially the events and hospitality industry is going to change, but I think it's going to be really good. I think we're all, the events industry is such a unique industry. You have to be a certain kind of person to work in it. And I think the people who do work in it are working really hard. So then we could create these great events and opportunities for people to connect in the future.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see. I was speaking with a fellow speaker this morning, and we were talking about the fact that it's kind of interesting because now there's so many different ways for people to digest and get the information that we provide, and it's kind of exciting. It's really opening up new avenues. One last question I've got is before I ask you my two final questions is are virtual events good for sponsors?
Absolutely. Virtual events are good for anybody. It really is. Like the technology is crazy, right? Like look at how many things go viral. Videos go viral. Look how many things just, get likes and get clicks on the internet. Like if you can get something out there that's engaging, exciting, and different, people will watch. People will buy into that. And that's really what it's all about is not just putting out something that is, dull and boring and just your regular whatever Zoom meeting, or I hate saying Zoom meeting, like I'm coming up to Zoom, but like, we're all tired of it, but it's creating like those really, really exciting new things. And for sponsors, like if you can get something that can go, viral, you're good.
You're good. All right. So my last two questions, it's hard to believe that we have come to the end of the time. What is your biggest piece of advice for anyone thinking on the fence about what I should do event-wise in 2021? And then tell everybody how to find out more about you, how to connect with you and Corinthian Events.
Yeah. So my biggest advice is consult with an event planning company, and you can consult with us, Corinthian Events. And my email is emmy@corinthianevents.com. So please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to have a conversation with anybody. And really my last piece of advice to my clients and to whoever is watching is try not to reimagine your live event in virtual. Just create a virtual event. Like, lean into the technology, be creative, consult with people who have done this before, learn what they have done and what has been successful. Because if you're going to try and create your 300-person gala virtually, it's just going to end up being a 300-person Zoom meeting with people eating in front of their screens, and that's not what people want.
Right. I think that's great advice. Is really be open-minded and be open to the possibilities, because I've just been blown away with what has been done with technology and how engaging things I have been a part of, really how just really, really incredible they have been. Well, Emmy, it's been awesome to have you on today. I hope you'll come back and talk about virtual events as we go forward. And thank you all for joining us again for another episode of Thrive, Turning Uncertainty to a Competitive Advantage. Remember, if you have not taken the Thrive Indicator Quiz, I want you to text the word redefined to 66866. Remember, redefined to 66866 to figure out where you fall on the Thrive Indicator Scale. And we'll see you next time for another episode of Turning All This Uncertainty to Your Competitive Advantage.
Thank you.